Hey guys, what's up? This is Blue, and I'm super excited to show you guys our deck profile for a Zane Underworld or Cyberdark Dragon deck. So, as we know from Yu-Gi-Oh! GX, it was Season 2, he went through this whole, kind of depression, losing streak, and this whole identity crisis. And then it ends up, getting possession of the Cyberdark dragons that were supposed to be locked away. They were really dangerous. And his character undergoes a little, a darker change. And what's interesting though is that this ends up being his deck for more or less the remainder of his part of Yu-Gi-Oh! GX. So in Season 2, he has a character change. He puts on the black jacket, uses the Cyberdark Dragons, and then it persists up until, Season 3. And then Season 4, he shows up again. He still has the Cyberdark Dragon cards, but he has, he's too unfit to use them. Because as we find out that the Yu-Gi-Oh! Cards that he had were causing him health issues. Well, weirder things have happened, and I can understand with some people spending a lot of money on Yu-Gi-Oh! Cards and then losing profusely. I can understand that having some health issues. But, Cyrus takes on the Cyberdark, sponges him with the roids, has this whole thing. So this deck of Zane's is the one that we really see the most. He's introduced with his pure Cyber Dragon deck in Season 1, which is still a really cool deck. But he swaps out for this, and this becomes his de facto. I know I've been kind of talking a little bit. Zane's one of my favorite characters in Yu-Gi-Oh! And then definitely my favorite from GX. So, it really is exciting for me to be doing the deck profile and to talk about the character. All right, let me just go to the deck. Armored Cybern is the first card. Kind of interesting for the union there. It's super prominent of anything, but I was kind of just shown. So it's 2 of all the Cyberdarks. So 2 of Cyberdark Edge, Horn, and then Keel. So, even though it has all the other Cyber Dragons, we wanted to make sure really reinforce the Cyberdark archetype. So we doubled up on all the Cyberdark Dragons, just so that their presence was, a lot more felt in the deck, and it would also make it easier to drop, Cyberdark Dragon, the fusion. The last time you guys saw this deck, for those of you that, are longtime fans of ours, we did have an errata for Cyberdark Keel for all the Cyberdark Dragons, because in the anime, they could pull level 4 or lower monsters. Then the printed cards can pull level 3 or lower monsters from the grave, and the problem was that really cut down the number of targets for these cards. But we felt that, ultimately it's not like it's a huge thing, because we're probably not going to be using them too often to really pull a dragon from the grave and equip it. There's so many good fusions that this deck can pull off that that effect is really not something that is worth it. So we decided to return all of them to their actual original effect. So they're just as they are: Edge, Horn, Keel, just like it is on the card. And yes, I know there's so much new Cyberdark support out there. It's a little bit much to throw it into a Zane deck where, we know what he kind of played, and we try to keep it within our anime meta. But, it's definitely worth knowing that there's a lot of Cyberdark support out there, a lot of new cards, new fusions, and with some of the new concepts we're exploring on the channel, maybe these show up at a later point in a different way. But I will say, though, that Zane's deck is meant to be really true to the anime, what we saw him have and what we didn't see him have. And so it really pulls off from the original Cyberdarks, the classic ones. Cyber Barrier, 3 Cyber Dragons, obviously. A Cyber Laser, Cyber Phoenix, Cyber Ouroboros, a Cyber Valley. So, aside from the Cyberdark Dragons, We see a couple new Cyber Dragons that from Zane. And again, going back to the Cyber Dark thing, yes, there's a ton of new Cyber Dragon support. There are so many new versions of Cyber Dragons, but in trying to stick to the original, cards played from the anime, we're not throwing in the newest ones. There's a link, Cyber Dragon, and this is stuff that you're just not going to see because the decks are meant to really retain the original, style, the cards that came out when the anime was running, and those just like the default de facto versions. So yes, there are new Cyber Dragons in this deck as opposed to his regular Cyber Dragon deck that we've done, but definitely not going to have a lot of the new and just all the kinds of Cyber Dragons that are out there. 2 Exploder Dragons, so really want to emphasize the new engine with the deck. So 2 of all the Cyber Darks, and then 2 of the new Dragon monsters, Exploder Dragon and Infernal Dragon. So that again we get the new Cyber Dark element has more presence in the deck. Not, of course, the Cyber Dragons you saw are still there, and a lot of those cards are still there. But the idea is that if you play with a deck, you're more likely to see the new cards, and then the deck will play, those cards. Because, there's no, we like to have decks be different and, kind of do their own things. That's why, especially with some decks we have so many of, like Yugi, Kaiba, Joey, between seasons, we'll cut out cards if they're not, like barring Dark Magician Blue Eyes, those iconic things, obviously. We'll drop out cards from one season so that we can use maybe some monstrous spells or traps that we saw in a different season so that they get an inclusion. And, this is so that we can kind of see a variety of the cards the character played, and so that one deck doesn't feel too much like another deck that it's not. So, that is why, like I said, the dragons are at 2, the Cyber Dark Dragons are at 2, but then everything else you're seeing is kind of a 1. And the last one is a Proto Cyber Dragon. So the spells: Cybernetic Fusion Support, Cybernetic Zone, Defusion, Different Dimension Capsule, Dimension Explosion, Flash Fusion. This deck definitely more so, I think, than his other Cyber Dragon deck. Really is just loaded up with ways to make fusions, which so it goes back to what I said earlier, which was we're not as worried about the effect of the Cyber Dark Dragons because, the deck's really poised just to make fusions. We still want to see those Cyber Dark Dragons and still want to see, the new cards, but Zane's fusions are Zane's fusions, and if you can get one out, it's usually lethal. Future Fusion, Graceful Charity, a Megamorph, Overload Fusion, Photon Generator Unit, Polymerization, Pot of Greed, and then lastly, a Power Bond. So again, a bunch of ways to make fusions, and then a couple ways to strengthen those fusions with either Megamorph or obviously Power Bond, Zane's signature most card. The trap lineup is short: Attack Reflector Unit, Call of the Haunted, Cybernetic Hidden Technology, Fusion Guard, Power Wall, and Rebirth Judgment. It is really awesome to have this card in the deck because this is like a card that had such a critical function for him and also for Cyrus later on. And it was a shame that they didn't make it. It was like, there are anime cards that we would like to have, but the deck doesn't feel like it's missing those cards. They're just nice to have. And then there are anime cards where the deck is absolutely missing that card, and this is one of those cards. So to have this card printed was just, we felt it was a huge win, and hopefully you guys feel the same way, that this was there's ones that are cool cards, they'd be nice to have. There's ones where it's like it does something for the deck that's just really hard to replicate otherwise. And a little quick shout out at this point. We are affiliated with TCG Player, so if you use our link in the description of this video or any of the videos, if you want to go pick up cards like your own copy of Rebirth Judgment, use our link. It benefits us, benefits the channel, and yeah. But TCG Player is, where we get a lot of our cards from, so that's where we got this. It was so nice to pick this up, just to be able to have it finally printed after all this time. Was just super cool. So that's it for the main deck. Now he's got a fairly nice fusion deck. So starting off with Chimera Attack Fortress Dragon. Chimera Attack Over Dragon, like one of my absolute favorite monsters in all of Yu-Gi-Oh! As you guys have seen me make it any chance I get, including the duel against Shepard, where I made a super powerful one, and then I didn't, and I lost it. So Chimera Attack Over Dragon, just an absolute powerhouse, a great go-to for things. Cyberdark Dragon. Fun fact: this particular copy is an original first edition that I got when the pack came out, and I've held on through all my years of on and off of Yu-Gi-Oh! Because it was just absolutely a favorite of mine. I never really did much with it other than collect it, so it's really nice that I have it now in Zane Cyberdark Deck. But I mean, it's Cyberdark Dragon, and yes, the new fusions it still looks so cool. But the original one just has a special place in my heart. Cyber End Dragon, and for this we chose the alt art, where it looks darker, little eviler. Felt it kind of went with theme. I know it's the same Cyber End Dragon. It's not a Cyber Dark End Dragon or Dark Cyber End Dragon, but either you appreciate it or you don't. Take it for what it is. Cyber Twin Dragon, and then 5-headed dragon and Twin-head Thunder Dragon. But that's because these cards are both meant to be used really just with Cyberdark Dragon. Fusion Guard is the trap card, tosses a fusion from your extra deck. The idea would be to toss one of these into the grave and then have Cyberdark Dragon, pull it out from the grave, power itself up. I don't know, you're almost better off trying to summon 5-headed dragon. But yeah, so those are there. Zane played them. Obviously, yes, Twin-headed Thunder Dragon cannot be summoned in this deck. Tragic, but I mean, we don't normally like to put cards in decks that cannot be summoned whatsoever. But the purpose that was there, though, we're okay with it. Otherwise, though, it is really taboo for us to, include that. All right. I've done enough talking. I hope you guys kind of bear with me as I went through one of my favorite characters with one of my favorite decks, some of my favorite monsters. Thank you guys for watching. As always, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell when so you can get new updates from us. We hope you guys enjoyed that content.
On our channel, we have more than 100 different character decks brought to life from the anime.
And to make sure you stay up to date with our newest duels and deck profiles, make sure you hit that subscribe button and that notification bell so you know when new content drops.